and gentlemen, good evening, great scholars and great leaders. How wonderful it is to assemble together again as leaders and scholars to engage each other, to empower each other, to inspire each other, to grow together in our personal development and also in our leadership development. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Mazwe Majola. I'm from the Worldwide Institute of Leadership and Development. We are here today to discuss a very wonderful topic, a great topic, and I'm so looking forward to it. Tonight we'll be discussing the convergence of data protection, cybersecurity, and AI. And I'll be introducing our speaker shortly. So we meet here every Wednesdays to learn, to unlearn, to relearn, and to co-learn together as leaders, because we've realized that leadership, it's not a destination, but leadership is a journey. Those who want to be great leaders, they will have to constantly develop themselves. And I always say in this platform that as long as you put up your hand and you accept that leadership position, if you want to be a world-class leader, you've got to constantly develop yourself until you go to the grave. As soon as you stop, you become you become a poor leader or an effective leader, because you've got to know what is happening there. And that is why even today, the topic we'll be discussing tonight is a topic that is going to help us as leaders and as scholars to know what is out there and what cybersecurity and data protection, AI, and all those is very, very important for us to know. May I welcome our leaders, our regulars, our members, those men and women who are here almost every Wednesdays, or as often as possible. We know that we learn a lot from each other, as I always say here. These are super master classes. There's no way you'll attend Wednesday this session and you don't learn anything. They're very, very good, and we really learn together. We've been doing this for over years now. And thank you so much for always being there. And we're here because of you. But a special welcome to those colleagues who are joining us for the first time. If you are here for the first time, you haven't been here before, wonderful. Yeah, we would like to welcome you, and please do participate. This is the open discussion is a safe space. You can participate. We will introduce our speaker. He will address us. Then after that, we'll do the questions and answers. So please do feel at home to participate. We'd like to learn from you as much as we'd like to learn from others as well. So as I've said, without any wasting of time, as we always do here, we don't waste time in this platform, because we know that we are dealing with very busy people, and we appreciate when you attend and you just give us this time to come and learn together. Tonight, we are addressed by my brother, Professor Sizwe Tuze. I'm so glad that he's a very busy person, but thank you so much, my brother, for your humility, for availing yourself just to come and empower and inspire us. Thank you so much. We really don't take that for granted. We thank you. Very briefly, Prof Sizwe Tuze is a South African cyber law scholar, attorney, and policy advisor, and adjunct professor at Nelson Mandela University. He previously served as a member of the Information Regulator of South Africa during the implementation of POPIA, and has contributed to national cybersecurity advisory structures. He is co-editor of the Cyber Law at SA series and co-founder of the Lex Informatica conference focusing on cyber law, AI, governance, and digital regulation in Africa. That is Professor Sizwe Snillikamtuze, ladies and gentlemen. My professor, my brother, you can not introduce yourself, but you can address us now. Thank you so much. You are most welcome. We are so looking forward to learning from you. And definitely, we are definitely doing that tonight. Thank you so much, my brother. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, and good evening. Ndiyabulela ukuba lapha. Ngiyaleboha hore ke be mo kajeno. I am a South African, a cyber lawyer to be exact, and I am here to talk about the convergence of data protection, cybersecurity, and AI. So usually 9 to 5, as you can see, I am a lawyer, I go to court, I sue people. Or in my other lifetime, I was part of the information regulator. I was a data protection commissioner. And in my other lifetime, I teach. I teach cyber law, and I enjoy teaching cyber law a lot. When I was asked by Prof Majola to come here tonight, I said to Prof Majola, I said, Prof, please don't make me teach. I'm tired of teaching. I'd like to engage. And in the 7 years of Zooming and teaming and whatever other ways that we've been meeting online, Google Meeting, I've actually found ways in which I can entertain you and entertain myself for 30 minutes to 45 minutes without being bored of myself. I see I forgot to leave my phone off. Just a moment. Right. Sorry for that. I'm still at the office. So I will find ways in which I will entertain you. I will find ways in which I will share knowledge with you. And I will also find ways in which we can network. All of that we will do in the next 45 minutes. So to kick off, what is a cyber lawyer? So 20 years ago, or should I say some 26 years ago, time is passing. Some 26 years ago, when I was at the University of Pretoria, I took a course called Cyber Law under Professor De Gama. And at the time, the author of the textbook, Reinhard Bass, also a tax alumni. I'm a tax alumni, just by the way, right? He was a guest lecturer teaching us cyber law, and I was very intrigued. So my traditional love for computers comes from somewhere else. My father was a historian, a philosopher, but he hated to type his own work. So we had a deal. He would bring all the fancy computers from work, from the university, and I would get to play with all the fancy tools. So your first computer with a green screen, Daddy had it. Your first computer with 4 colors, the EGA, Daddy had it. The first computer with a VGA, in other words, your graphics, your 16-bit, Daddy brought it home. The first computer with a Sound Blaster card, all right? This is literally the evolution of the computer to where we find it today. Daddy brought it. I remember in 1995, we were staying in Orchards, and Dad brought a very interesting package. It was a Pentium computer. It had a flatbed scanner, and it also had a DVD writer. So for those of you who have forgotten, once upon a time there was a CD, but I'm assuming that all the people here remember the LP, the tape deck, the CD. You know, we always thought that the LP would go, but the LP actually outlived the tape deck and it outlived the CD. But we'll talk about that some other time. So I had all these tools, and my love for computers was just immense. And my father at the time, who was a historian, he said, Sizwe, ezi computer endikuphathela zona apha ekhaya, ezonditayipela zona ngazo, ayingomsebenzi. Kuzawufanele uhambe uyofunda umthetho. It's like, this man. I want to do programming. I want to be a computer scientist. And eventually, I became a lawyer with Reinhard Base, as I said, having introduced me to cyber law. And over the years, I became a policy advisor, started drafting curriculums, and yeah, we are here today. So that's a little bit about me. I hope I didn't bore you. But let's talk about data protection. It's a very special part of me. For 5 years, I was a data protection commissioner at the information regulator. I worked with the Honorable Advocate Benson Tlakula and Advocate Weepend and Advocate Stroom and my former supervisor, Prof Tana Pistorius. And we established what we call today the information regulator. A lot of people did not know what is personal information. Why do we have to protect personal information? What's the whole point of protection of information? And obviously, when we look at it from a constitutional background, we have the right to privacy in our constitution. So inherently, you have the right not to have certain information of yours imparted to others unless you want it imparted. When I'm talking to some of my junior students, I always explain to them that the reason why people can now smoke doobie is because of the right to privacy. The Constitutional Court said it is your right to smoke in your private space. Now, it's the same thing with your personal information, your ID number, your car registration, your address, your telephone number, your Twitter handle, your social media handles. These are all personal information. I know we have this very bad habit of sending people GPS locations. What? Oh, you want to come here? Let me quickly send you a location. You are giving away the GPS location to your house, right? I don't know over the years if you've noticed, there is a Google car that has like 8 cameras on top of it that drives through your neighborhood. And if you are lucky, if you put in your address in Google, you may even find yourself standing at the gate. I remember the one time I Googled the home address and I found my dogs literally in the picture, but Google had botched them out. So these are aspects of data protection. The GDPR in Europe being the golden standard of data protection. The POPIA, as I said, from 2016, ensuring that people process personal information in a lawful manner. Now, what is lawful processing of personal information? This basically entails respecting the 8 conditions of processing of personal information. And I did promise that I'm not going to lecture, so I'll try and make them easy. The first condition is accountability. The second condition is lawful processing. There must be a lawful reason for the processing. The third reason is you can only process for a specific reason. So if I walk into the bank, I don't want to get a phone call from a telecoms provider selling me a cell phone because I applied for a credit card. So for a specific reason, and then you may further process, which is condition 4, if the condition is compatible with the initial condition. So if I'm your customer and you are having something on special and you want to advertise to me again, surely you can advertise that project to me again, right? There's no issue with you doing that. So then we also have information quality. So now information quality depends on me. In other words, the information that I retain now, I must have the complete and accurate or updated information of you. The other one is openness. When you go on a website, and just now, as we started here with the webinar with Prof Majola, Zoom asked me if I am happy for this webinar to be recorded. That is the openness requirement, right? That is the openness requirement. Then there is the cybersecurity requirement. Having technical and organizational measures. Technical and organizational measures. Technical means your software, your hardware, all your electronic devices to protect the information. But then we have organizational measures. And I always say that is the human factor. Do we have policies? Are the humans respecting these policies? Are they ensuring that the policies are being enforced, that they're being reviewed, and that they are still effective? So technical and organizational measures, and obviously in the case of a data breach notification. We hear about data breaches every day. I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm sure you've received one on your phone recently. And lastly, data subject participation. Now, I don't want to exclude other important sections in the POPIA, but the POPIA does talk about cross-border sharing of information, which is very important, especially in the African trade that we have now and the global trade. It also talks about not being a subject of automated decision-making. Now you're going to say to me, automated decision-making. Well, that is the AI provision in the POPIA, right? The right not to be subject to an automated decision-making process that you have not reviewed. So that is that. Then we have the provision against spam. You must opt into spam. You must call me and you must say, Prof Snail, can we call you again? Can we opt you in? Then you can call me as much as you like. But in terms of Section 69, if you call me once and I say, hey, lose my number, you lose my number. I always make these very silly examples and I say, Section 69 is like asking a boy out or asking a girl out. It's your right to ask her out, but if she doesn't want to give you a number, she won't give you her number. And you're not allowed to ask her again. So that's Section 69, right? Once I say, angifuni ngenombolo yam, then you don't call me again. But if ngithi hayi ngiyavuma ungangifonela, then you can call me again. And there's various remedies. We've heard what can happen if you don't comply with the 8 conditions and data breaches. And so that's the whole data protection law. Now, is cybersecurity ingena kuphi? Or where does it enter? Well, it enters everywhere. About 20 years ago, the same way people used to call me PlayStation lawyer. Yeah, PlayStation lawyer, saka regulator manje. But anyway, people used to call me PlayStation lawyer, right? 20 years ago. People now also need to respect cybersecurity used to be their problem. Yes, the guys from IT. Fonelan abantu base IT, bafoneleni ama-computer wethu awasebenzi. Really? In 2026, cybersecurity is all our problem. It is all our problem in 2026. Ama-password, siphatha njani information. How do we treat other people's information? How do we conduct ourselves within the organization? Like I said, that intersection between POPIA and cybersecurity, cyber resilience, cyber capacity, the ability to teach others to treat information and cybersecurity infrastructure with respect, cyber hygiene. Is it here? Kula manje, Prof. Hygiene sengena kuphi? Iyangena la. Cyber hygiene, ukuziphatha kakuhle. Don't put all your apps on your phone every 2 minutes. You get an app. You know, your friend would say, hey, kuna app ekrand, I'll load it up. We are loaded. Next thing, there's another app. We are loaded. You are busy giving away your personal information and your privacy. And that is cyber hygiene. Getting rid of things that you don't need anymore. Apps that you don't need anymore. Places where your software or where your personal information can get, leaked. That is cyber hygiene. So you cannot talk data protection without cybersecurity. If anyone who makes the assertion that cybersecurity and data protection are distinct things, I have news for you. Data protection, cybersecurity, cybercrime, and AI, they all have a common ancestor called data. A common ancestor called data. And this common ancestor affects personal information, cybersecurity. People can do nefarious things with data, steal data, cyber crimes, right? And of late, use data to analyze algorithms, to analyze data differently by using artificial intelligence. Now, as you can hear, I've moved slowly from data protection and I've moved now to cybersecurity. I don't want to talk too much about what's happening in Europe. Yes, NIS 1 is there, NIS 2, the Cybersecurity Act. And yes, we are going to have to get with the program at some point. The Brussels effect is a reality. There was the Brussels effect with data protection laws. The Brussels effect is coming with cybersecurity, whether siyafuna asifuni. And the Brussels effect goes even to China. It even goes to America. It is just one of those phenomenon that Professor Anne Branford speaks about, the Brussels effect. Right? So if you're talking cybersecurity, and I'm fortunate enough to be part of the BRICS Cybersecurity Advisory Panel in Rio de Janeiro, where we do research, right? Cybersecurity has become a new legal conundrum. Cybersecurity was their problem. It was the state's problem. It was for the nerds, the guys about Kogama class. Let me explain to you. Cybersecurity is your problem. And if you don't appreciate that cybersecurity is your problem, then you are going to have a problem in 2026 in this information age. Now let's talk about AI, because I'm looking at the time. I'm trying to gauge the time. Artificial intelligence, Professor John McCarthy, 1952. Huh? 1952? Yes, 1952. The ability of a machine to learn what is reserved for human beings. Professor John McCarthy, Professor Alan Turing, they started thinking along those lines with the first microchip, the first pieces of code, the first microprocessor that could process data, analyze, and do calculations for you. So I have a reality check to give to all of you. AI is not a new thing. Companies, the governments have been using AI. And part of AI was actually regulated in the ECT Act. Transactions with automated agents, Section 22. It's there. Why do you think Mautenga airtime? It says, do you want 50 Rand airtime? And then you say, yes. Then it says, are you sure? And you get annoyed and you say, yes, yes, I want 50 Rand airtime. That's because the law said must review the transaction. Okay? So AI is nothing new. In the Copyright Act, we acknowledge that a computer program can be the author of a work. Yes, you've got case law that supports this from 1972, that a computer program can be the author of a work. It's there, like it. The Cybercrimes Act, making certain software that obviously uses a computer program or a device using AI to commit cybercrimes will be a cybercrime. So AI is not a new thing. However, there are some interesting things that AI does bring to question. Our constitution, your right to privacy, since we were talking data protection and cybersecurity, AI uses data from everywhere. That is why we end up having AI hallucinations. And I'm going to explain to you what are AI hallucinations. So AI goes to different data sets. Do you see what I'm doing with my hands? It looks like I'm a bit mad, but that's what AI does. It goes and it accesses different data sets instead of targeting a specific data set. And that is how you then get AI hallucinations. That is how you get AI biases. A AI program is programmed with Caucasian people's faces, and then you take that program and you let her lie Africa. Duh, it's going to give you wrong results because it has been programmed ngobuso babelungu. So this is not a racism issue. It's a technical law issue. AI biases is how the computer looks at my face. For instance, when it looks at me, it says, okay, that's a black man. Black guys have, bigger faces. They have flat noses. Michael Jackson fixed his. And whereas with the Mlungu, thinner face, sharp nose, long hair. So yeah, these are some of the things So AI mustn't discriminate, mustn't have biases, must be consistent with the right to equality. It must be consistent with the right to dignity, right? AI must not cause me to be discriminated or me to be disadvantaged in any way because of its wrong inputs or the way in which it was trained from the people who created the AI tool. Transparency. How does this AI tool work? What does it do with the data that it is using? Very, very important. We also have a principle called explainability, which is an extension of transparency to say that, look, you need to explain to us, ispanabang diding, AIA ispanabang, iberagabang boss, as we would say here in Pretoria, right? You need to explain to me, how does this thing work? How does it use my information? How does the algorithm calculate and make results? So AI, the Constitution, definitely an important thing, right? The development of AI in our communities, development of our own data sets, indigenous knowledge systems, preserving African indigenous knowledge systems. Prof, I did say to you, I'm not going to be teaching today, so I'm busy. I'm talking. So I'm going to continue. So indigenous knowledge systems are also being protected and possibly exploited by the use of AI. We've seen recently AI hallucinations with our government, the Department of Communications, big flop there, the Department of Home Affairs. Oh, guess what? KPMG are also having hallucinations. I tell you what, by the end of the year, we will find out that a whole lot of people who we found as credible academics and credible scholars used AI. That is what is going to happen as the year progresses. And we're going to have a lot of disappointments. And AI does not replace Imondo. It doesn't. AI can assist you. I can tell you something. I use AI to do all sorts of interesting things. If I can't start a proposal, I will tell AI that I need to do a proposal for ABC. Then it will give me a draft, and then using my knowledge of proposals, I will then build on it. That is responsible use of AI, not to just take the AI and use it. And as I said, AI can hallucinate. So there is, and I'm talking now as an academic, I'm talking now as a lawyer, there is an ethical responsibility and an ethical responsibility to give authentic academic material on an academic level without using AI. If you're using AI, you're cheating. You can ask AI to give you ideas, and AI zokuphoxa, zokama reference snacks. Remember, I don't. It goes and pulls everywhere. So partly AI. Hence, we have hallucinations. The case of Parker, right, where the attorneys were buzzed with hallucinations. The case of Mavundla, right? The case of, what was that other one? A special made. We've got that case. We've also got a recent case where a judge was busted in a family law matter, right? Where he cited a matter referring to Volkswagen and another matter in a family law case. And we are going to watch how that's going to turn out. Hopefully that judge won't get into too much hot water. But as I said, hallucinations are happening everywhere. We need to use AI. It is here to help us. It is here to assist us to make things easier. But it is not here to replace us. It is not here to cheat. So, as I said, AI, data protection, and cybersecurity, they converge. And I said to you, they have a common ancestor. The common ancestor is data. And data is the mother or the grandfather of information. And information then gives birth to all of these. But I don't want to do a philosophical chat. I actually hated philosophy. My father was a philosopher, but I'm starting to appreciate how philosophy works. But yeah, that's my chat. I didn't want to come and bore you and tell you section this, section that of the Data Protection Act, NIS 1 in this section. No, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to come here, I wanted to talk, I wanted to share, I wanted to impart knowledge in cybersecurity and AI, how they converge and how they interlink, and how we as legal practitioners, as well as ICT practitioners, as well as management people, quality managers, I mean, anyone who uses information, right, needs to be aware of this. It is no longer their problem. It is our problem. We use AI every day. We're not aware of it. We are targets of cybersecurity every day. We are not aware of it. We are giving away our personal information and making ourselves targets every day when we do e-commerce and e-governance and other tools. But let me leave it at that, Prof. I see it's 18 minutes and 37 minutes. They say when you are invited to talk, you must talk, and once the people are still happy, you must leave the stage. So ndiyabulela Prof, ndibulela kakhulu, ndibulela even your listeners for listening to me. I would appreciate if there's any questions, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof. Thanks a
Prof,
lot.
your mic is off.
Thank you for empowering us. And thank you so much for sharing these nuggets with us. Ladies and gentlemen, now we can ask the professor if there are any things that you want to, maybe some comments or some questions. You can do that by raising your hand. There's an icon down there, or you can do that via the chat room. Prof, if I may just ask from my side while my colleagues are coming, how would you advise us in terms of, you just said now we are constantly the targets of cybersecurity. What are the basic things really as professionals that we must look for, that we must focus on, so that even these things are happening out there, but at least it should not be easy to already infiltrate or to find us. Any thoughts there or any advice, Prof? Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Prof, as I said earlier, we need to practice certain, should I say, reasonable and proper practices with our information. We need to start respecting our information. You should not, and you cannot, be giving your information to everyone. People phoning you saying, what is your ID number? Or you giving all your personal information on various apps because you want to load an app. We need to be conscious of this. There needs to be some form of education. And this education, Prof, it doesn't start with you and I and your participants here today. It starts with our children. Those children of ours that we give those cell phones so that they can play, so that they stop disturbing us whilst we are busy working, those are the first entry points and the targets of cybersecurity and weak data protection practices. That is where we start. We must phones to not just use their phones for everything, and that if only you must respect it, you must have privacy settings on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever social media you may be using. That is where it starts. Our children using computers at school, in high schools and varsities, people, our general population using computers, abo mama betu, abo tata betu, abo makhulu betu. Let me not forget abo tatomkhulu betu, right? They are constant victims of cybercrime because of the fact that they are exposing their personal information to get certain services. I remember during COVID, even the Honorable Professor Snail, my father, he wasn't hearing it. When he wanted his money, bank teller. And that's just how it is, you know. There are certain people who are very risk adverse with their personal information. For instance, my mother, she doesn't do e-banking. Koshwa, you will not get my mom to do e-banking. Instead, uzothi Sizwe mntanam, uhambe uye ebhankini uyondifakela imali. That's just how it is, you know. May I take Babalwa's hand, Prof?
I will facilitate that for you, Prof. I will assist you on that one. There is before we go to Babala, I think there is a question there in the chat room. Then we'll come to Babala.
Right,
is it Rorisang Pasha? Good evening. Thank you for the insightful session, Prof. Do you believe South Africa's current cybersecurity laws are sufficient to address AI-related risks? I'm asking this because AI is evolving faster than legislation, and I'm interested in whether SA's cybersecurity laws are equipped to address emerging AI-related risks. You could just answer that one, Prof.
Thank you. It's a very relevant question and a good question. Thank you, Rorisang, for asking that. It means you were listening to the lecture. Looks like, Prof, I ended up lecturing. So the cybersecurity laws that we currently have and the cybersecurity policy, most of them are 10 years old, 15 years old. The emerging cybersecurity risks, as I said, are not covered in some of the legislation that we have. We are, however, not in the Stone Age. We are not in the jungle age of Africa. We are between the third industrial revolution and the fourth industrial revolution when it comes to our laws, right? Hence, I did say we will have to look at the NIS 1 in Europe. We will have to look at the NIS 2, and we will have to look at the EU Cybersecurity Act, whether we like it or not. And because of AI, we will have to look even into the AI Act. The AI Act talks about various levels of cybersecurity. AI that does not do any harm, AI that can do some.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are just waiting for Prof. Sizwe to come back, and then we'll take some few questions and interactions, and we will close the session after that. Tonight, we are discussing the convergence of data protection, cybersecurity, and AI, and its various said things very fascinating, especially relating to our own personal information, i.e., I know that we always do this, including myself. We do this. I mean, giving people our house location at ease, because we are used to do that. And I'm sure he will assist us in terms of how best we can handle all those, because we have to do that, but how responsibly we may do that. I the Prof is back now. Over to you, Prof. I think you were still responding to Rory-san. Over to you. Go ahead, sir. Are you able to continue now, Prof Sizwe?
Yes, I'm very much here.
Go ahead, my brother. Go ahead, sir. I think you're still
Oh, okay.
I think you're still answering Rory-san, and then we will take the
I think
question
I
there
was,
from Baba.
yes, 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 yes. So I was basically saying that we do have cybersecurity laws in terms of the Brussels effect, as I said, your NIS 1, your NIS 2, that are talking about high levels of cybersecurity and creating certain standards of cybersecurity for Europe. So we are looking towards creating an African. We've been talking data protection for Africans. We've been talking cybersecurity for Africans. We are now having a new mantra, AI for Africans. But Africa is still lagging behind, So that is one of the concerns that we have. We do have some laws to address cybersecurity, but not all of them can efficiently deal with cybersecurity. All right, Prof, I've answered that one.
Thank
Should we
you.
go to, there was another lady, what was her name?
I will do that, Prof. I'll do that. I'll do that for you. We are taking Babalwa now, and then after Babalwa, we'll go to the chat room. There's another question there. Over to you, my sister, Babalwa.
Thank you, Prof. Prof, my question is more on the academic side, on AI and Turnitin link. The universities are aware that AI hallucinate, but when it comes to Turnitin link, when AI is wrongly flagging students, the universities are not very, I find them to be not kind or not as listening as they should. There is a study coming from Hopkins University and I think also UCT, where AI has been flagged or seen as biased towards non-English speaking non-first language speakers. Like na isiXhosa. So if I write my thesis or my research in English and I try to make it sound more professional, AI flags me as have taken my English from AI, and how do I put it? Not It's not my original thoughts. It's my original thoughts. I put it on AI to polish it for me, and then it flags me as if that was originally from AI. So my question is, why? And you're talking about AI for Africans, which means we see the gap. But why are the universities lagging behind in this and students being disadvantaged? And yeah, that's my question. I hope it's clear.
Thank you. Thank you, Babalo. I notice you are also Xhosa speaking, but I'll try and stick to English. AI in universities is causing havoc on both sides. On both sides. And I'm saying this because I've been on the receiving end of the havoc. Be it dishonest students submitting work that is literally identical and sickly incorrect, and also having students who genuinely have done the work, and as you have identified, Babalo, get flagged for AI, whereas they didn't cheat. So these are some of the dangers that Turnitin does have, for instance. I'm not a fan of Turnitin, but forms of plagiarism and so forth. The advice I would have to you, Babalo, and it's not a very assisting advice at this stage, but if you are working on a very great academic piece, be it your doctoral thesis, your master's thesis, one of those beautiful pieces, or that great article that you're sending to that great journal somewhere overseas, or just spend a little bit of money, get a editor and get the editor to clean it up for you. It will save you a lot of problems, because if you take the word and you throw it into AI, this thing uses certain algorithms, it leaves certain traces. And as you correctly say, when you then present it later on, it may be your thoughts, it may be your research, but the way in which AI sometimes structures words and the way it writes it, it may flag you. So unfortunately, as I say, I think once again, like the AI hallucinations, lawyers must go to the library or to the online library and do the research. When it comes to that beautiful academic work that you have, you must pay that editor. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things. If AI, you do run the risk of having a plagiarism software flag you. And it could be unfair, it could be biased, but that is what is happening right now. I hope that gives you some form of comfort, Baba.
Thank you, Babala. Thank you so much. I
Thanks,
think
Prof.
let's go to the chat room. My sister there, Advocate Anastasia. Good evening, professors. Thank you for a very timely discussion. Is our POPIA and other cyber laws ready to balance the scales of AI use in South Africa in particular? What are the specific gaps that are concerning you at the moment? Over to you, Prof.
Okay, so as I did say, I do believe that our cyber laws, your POPIA, your ECT Act, Critical Infrastructure Act, your Protection of Personal Information Act, your PIA, your Access to Information Act, my apology, your Cyber Crimes Act. I do believe that there is a body of law that is there to deal with some of these issues. But as correctly as Advocate Mashobane is pointing it out, some of these laws now, because of the advent of AI, either need to be rehauled or we need to write them completely anew. I'm from the school of thought to say that there are some laws that currently do assist us, and let's use those laws, but let us try and create new laws, right? There are some people who say, hey, look, let's create an omnibus law act in South Africa. It dealt with e-commerce, it dealt with cryptography, it dealt with consumer protection, it dealt with domain names, it dealt with cyber criminality. An omnibus piece of legislation like the EU AI Act. We are seeing serious teething problems in Europe with the AI Act in the EU because of this omnibus approach, wanting to fix everything with one piece of legislation. I always say to people, cyber law is a hybrid law. Cyber law has never ever been its own discipline. As much as I claim to be a cyber lawyer, and as much as I teach ICT law, and I love it, it is not a traditional source of law. It is a mixture of different sources of law. And it is those different sources of law that need to be updated in terms of the AI. I see Prof nodding, so that means I'm talking some sense.
Absolutely, I agree with you, Prof. I definitely agree
Prof?
with you 100%. I think now, or I'll ask you to give us your closing remarks or your parting shots, and then after that, we'll close the session. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Prof. I want to leave you with the following words. Cyber law, the information age, is a reality in Africa. And my emphasis on Africa, I'm a Pan-Africanist. The dark continent, as they used to call it when you were in space, if you go up to the Hubble Space Telescope now, or you saw Artemis recently, Artemis 2, our dark continent is not so dark anymore. It's actually lighting up a lot. And with this lighting up is also the interconnectivity of the internet, interconnectivity of data, sharing of knowledge, sharing of AI technology. I'm actually one of the people of the school of thought that we must have some form of data sovereignty. I'm not saying exclusive data sovereignty, but there must be some data that we mustn't share with the Americans or with the Chinese who are giving us TikTok. You know, we should have our own social media tools, you know, so that we process our own data. You know, data sovereignty is something very, very important. And other countries are jealously protecting their data sovereignty. And I think we as Africans need to start doing that. Cybersecurity sovereignty. The Europeans are doing big things in terms of cybersecurity laws, the Americans, and so are the Asians. Why can we not unite as Africans and have an African cybersecurity standard? We may not have all the resources, but similar to the Malabo Convention, which is the golden standard for data protection, let us have an African cybersecurity standard. Let us start teaching people about cybersecurity, have cybersecurity capacity building, cyber hygiene, and concepts like cyber diplomacy. Lastly, AI. AI is not new. AI has been here. I can safely say that since I was born, AI has been here. The only thing is AI is now a buzzword and everyone is sort of becoming aware of it, right? There are great things that come with AI. And once again, there is this talk about AI sovereignty. Should we share our AI capabilities with other countries? Should other countries be able to see our AI capabilities? Should we be able to see their AI capabilities? And lastly, hallucinations. AI is here to help. It is not here to replace. It is not here to rewrite your assignment. It is not here to rewrite your papers in court. It is not here to rewrite a court judgment. and it is most certainly not here to help a doctor diagnose you with a sickness with a data set that was programmed in Europe, right? Let us see this. Okay. So that is the concluding words that I have. Prof, thank you very much. As I said to you, it is quite something to hear the sound of your own voice for an hour. But thank you very much for you and your participants. It was a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Thank you. Thank you
Prof?
very much, ladies and gentlemen. Can you please put your hands together as we always do in this platform, as we appreciate and thank Prof Sizwe. Thank you so much. Do that, please. All of you find a reaction there. There are so many an icon that you can use just to appreciate Sizwe. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your insights. We've learned a lot from you. And there's so much to discuss. There's so much maybe to even in future to take us through because we are professionals, but there are so many things that we are doing and we are not aware of things that will harm us. It's very important to be armed in terms of how do we protect our data, and we must be aware of cybersecurity. Some of us, we find that our accounts have been hacked, whether it's our social media accounts or our banking accounts. So these things are, as we are working now, there are those people who are professional, full-time working in terms of how am I following Professor Mazwe Majola, where he's doing, what is he doing, day and night, just to understand what he posts, what he uses, how am I going to cache him. They're there. They're just those people who are doing that, and obviously we need to be alert so that we can avoid. It's very, very painful when these people are doing that. Some of us, we've been there, whether it's in one of the social media account, especially some of us who are very busy in social media. So please let us try to be as vigilant as possible, and we'll try to call Prof Sizwe again just to show us and just to give us some nuggets and just to assist us how best we can handle these things. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Remember that we meet every Wednesdays, especially for those who joined us for the first time. Please do come again next week, or if you are available. But you find us here. We meet every Wednesdays, same time, same place, same login details, same everything. And as I've said earlier on, you definitely will never waste your time when you attend these master classes of ours. So next week, we've got another wonderful topic, another great speaker. Do come and join us. Thank you so much. The session is adjourned now. May God bless you, and may God bless Africa. Kosi Sigelele Africa, until we meet again next week. Goodbye. Thank you.